Hi, everybody, and welcome back. Thank you for spending time with me. Today I'm going to discuss a rather unpopular subject, and my opinion is not going to be popular. I know it. Yet I'm going ahead anyway because it is time, and I've always promised to be honest and forthcoming and to base my opinion on fact as much as I can. I want to talk about something I have been wanting to talk about for a long, long time, and I actually feel guilty that I haven't. I'm someone believing in fairness and who has always stood up for the underdog. Anyway, I was reminded of a discussion I had back and forth via email a couple of months ago by a piece Richard Eden wrote and got huge backlash for. Richard Eden wrote in an article that, and I quote, "It is time that an aging British monarchy promoted Prince Andrew's daughters to front-line royal duties, because with His Majesty the King's 75th birthday later this month, the firm is already overstretched." Now, my dears, please don't click out because today's video is not about who I like or who you like or whom we don't like. It's about facts, and facts, unfortunately, are facts. And Richard Eden is right. The Queen had a team behind her all her life, her husband and her cousins, and as her children grew up, her children. Charles is still sort of okay because he, like the Queen, still have a support system in his one brother and his wife, his sister and her husband, William and Catherine, and the Dukes of Kent, who is obviously now winding down, and the Duke of Gloucester, who is indeed very underrated as a royal, but who is indeed a full-time working member of the royal family at the moment. But when it comes to William, we have an issue. Harry took off for America, and none of his cousins are really undertaking royal duties, although most of them have charities and patronages they are indeed affiliated with. Now, George is only 10, and it's a good another 11 years or more, depending on whether he chooses to study in a certain direction or go into the military or both, before George can actually step up. So 11 plus years. By that time, Anne will be in her 80s, Prince Edward, Duke of Edinburgh, in his 70s, and there is no guarantee that either of them will still be able to do royal duties. Had William been in the same position as the King of Spain, who only has Spain to worry about, there would not have been such an issue. But unfortunately, he's not. At the moment, the king is also head of state of 14 other countries. It is likely that Prince Edward, the Duke of Kent, and Prince Richard, the Duke of Gloucester, if still alive at that time, will not be doing duties anymore. William will only become king at the death or ill health of his father, so he cannot expect help from that quarter either. And we do not have the foresight to know how healthy Princess Anne will be at 83 or Prince Edward at 70 or 71. So we are currently counting on William and Catherine to be King and Queen of England and heads of state of 14 other countries, all by themselves, at least for a few years until their children can step up to the plate. Like Richard Eden quite rightly pointed out in this article, the king has already been on the throne for 14 months, but is yet to visit any of the 14 Commonwealth realms of which he is the monarch, and Kenya is the first Commonwealth country he had been to. Sophie is or was in Canada, and William is in Singapore. Canada is part of the British realm, and Singapore is one of the 54 Commonwealth countries. Now imagine William as king without a William number two, and without a Sophie, and without an Anne, and just William and Catherine for a year, two or three, or even five. We have to face facts, as sad as it is to think about it. The current monarchy is largely elderly, or at least moving towards being elderly. So who does William call on to stand by his side besides his wife? I love Zara, but Zara has never done royal duties. She and Mike have varied business interests and activities. Peter Phillips. I like Peter Phillips, but the same applies to him. Yes, I'm sure he can pick up on the finer nuances very quickly and easily because he grew up around the royals. But does he really want to? Then there is James, the Earl of Wessex, and Lady Louise, the children of Edward and Sophie. Now, I'm going to guess by the fact that James received his father's title that there are hopes that James will become a working member of the family. But James is only turning 16 in December, and I have a feeling he hasn't made up his mind yet what he wants to do with the rest of his life. And what we also know is that Edward and Sophie have guaranteed and promised that they will not force their children into service, that their children can decide for themselves what they want to do. And actually, they have prepared their children to go into the job market. So the only cousins left are Beatrice and Eugenie, the York sisters. And that is where Richard Eden got the backlash from, or what he got backlash for. And that is what I feel guilty about and should have spoken about ages ago. You see, love me or hate me, but I agree with Richard Eden. The York girls were always very close to the Queen, and not only spending time with Her Majesty the Queen, but have also accompanied her on her duties and to events numerous times. Like it or not, but the York girls are relatively scandal free. No drunken parties, no drug use, no sleeping around or sucking toes. At least they were taught how to keep private things private. It certainly appears as if their parents made the mistakes and their daughters learned from it. So let's do easy first. Beatrice is relatively pretty. Since she became involved with Edo, she lost weight and she dresses much better. She should just lose any and all bows and she will be near perfect. I mean, one only needs to look at photographs of Beatrice and her mother recently taken in New York to see what a glamorous asset she could be to the monarchy. But that is on the outside. What about who she really is? Beatrice is 35 years old and married to Edo Mapele Motsi since 2020. She was born fifth in line to the throne and is now ninth. Now, Beatrice, and listen up, Beatrice is ninth after her father, who has retired from royal duties, who is indeed eighth, a cousin who does not even live in the country or a Commonwealth realm country or just a plain old Commonwealth country. No, 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 he's living in the United States. A cousin who, by his own admission, is an addict, by his own admission, has severe mental health issues, and by his own admission, does not even like England. And then last but not least, she is ninth after two children who may very well not even qualify for their titles or to be in the line of succession. So, in my humble opinion, Beatrice should be fifth in line to the throne, just after little Louis. Beatrice has a bachelor's degree in history and is currently vice president of strategic partnerships at a software company called Affinity. Beatrice also works with a number of charitable organizations such as the Teenage Cancer Trust. She is the patron of Forget Me Not Children's Hospice. She's also patron of the York Musical Society, patron of the Helen Arkell Dyslexia Center, and a number of other charities. Beatrice is also the founder of Big Change, a charity to encourage young people to develop skills outside of the traditional academic curriculum. I'm not even mentioning half of her charities and activities, and I encourage you to go read about her work before making any decision or express any criticism. It is said that Beatrice inherited her grandmother's braveness and work ethics. So once you've done that, once you've gone and read about all her affiliations and all her charitable works, etc., etc., I would like to know what exactly is there to criticize. I honestly cannot find anything. I'm told that Beatrice also gets along well with William and Catherine. I'm also told that Beatrice is someone who shies away from conflict, that she stays far, far away as far as possible from family politics and infighting. Another interesting fact, which few people actually know, do you remember those crazy fascinators Beatrice and Eugenie wore to Prince William and Catherine's wedding? Remember the criticism they got? Well, they should actually have received respect and appreciation for it because it was all done for charity. The fascinators were designed by Philip Treacy and was auctioned off for charity the month after the wedding. Beatrice's headpiece received £81,000 and the proceeds went to UNICEF and Children in Crisis. So now we are going to talk about Princess Eugenie, and I know this is where many of you are going to get mad at me and lash out, just like many did to Richard Eden. But before I go into the details and information I collected from a few sources, let's go through the same steps as we did with Beatrice. Eugenie turned 33 in March this year, and she had been married to Jack Brooksbank since 2018. She now has two little boys, Ernest and August. She studied at Marlborough College and Newcastle University and graduated with a bachelor's degree in English literature and history of art. She is currently in a directing position at Art Gallery Hauser and Wirth. Eugenie is patron of the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital charity. She is patron of Horatio's Garden. She is patron of the Coronet Theatre and the Tate Young Patrons. She is also the ambassador for the Artemis Council of the new museum and ambassador for Project Zero, which focuses on protecting the ocean from plastic pollution. And she is the co-founder of the Anti-Slavery Initiative, and in June 2022, she launched the Ocean Advocate series. So like her sister, she's educated and does good work that most people do not even know about. Now comes the but. It appears from reading the comments and backlash to Richard Eden's article that the reasons why people are kicking against them becoming more involved in royal life are basically twofold. The Republic supporters do not want more family members involved, and thus more family members having to receive payment from the privy purse, which is a ridiculous argument because the privy purse is what it is. It has been between 10, 15, and 25% ever since it was implemented, and the fewer people earning wages from it, the more the monarch walks away with. It is not going to change just because there are fewer people. And quite honestly, no one will ever know for sure what or who gets paid from the money anyway. We know, though, that Andrew is not receiving money from the privy purse anymore, and neither is Harry. Although Harry's stipend always came from the Duchy of Cornwall anyway, the privy purse did pay for certain expenses he incurred when on royal duties. So what I'm saying is that there is currently no reason why two new working royals can't be paid a stipend if they throw in their weight and do the job. Unless, of course, King Charles agrees to a real saving and take, for instance, a 5 million or 10 million pound cut in his pay and not a 5% cut, because a percentage cut is no cut at all if the income of the Crown Estate increased with more than whatever percentage cut he is prepared to take. And no, I doubt that will ever happen. So I would instead suggest the money is spent on more people to do a better job, a bigger job, and a wider ranging job. But alas, I know it's not all or just about the money. It is also about jealousy and power struggles within the family. King Charles III could barely bear to hand the Duke of Edinburgh title to his brother. And I'm telling you that if there wasn't so much pressure on the king to hand the title to Edward, Edward would likely still not have received the title. And please don't call me a hater. That comes straight from the source. So go fight with someone else, not me. I'm only reporting on it. Anyway, because of the family dynamic, I'm told that Charles would rather have involved Camilla's son or daughter if he could than involve his brother's children. Anyway, there is also the elephant in the room, namely the fact that most people think that because Eugenie remained friends with Harry and was friends with Meghan, she is a traitor and a mole, etc., etc. And my dears, hate me all you want, but I had two discussions over a period of a couple of weeks about this particular issue. And the one person I spoke with is older and had dealings with the Yorks and to a lesser extent other royals. The other one is younger, more or less the same generation as the York daughters, and moving in the same or similar circles. So, what is indeed true is that Meghan and Eugenie met before Meghan met Harry, and because of Misha Nunu and Violet von Westenholz. Eugenie had been aware of Meghan's existence since the end of 2014 or the beginning of 2015. There is, however, no indication that Meghan and Eugenie were friends or met more than once before Meghan met Harry. Meghan and Harry met through Violet von Westenholz directly. Violet introduced them, gave the other one's number, but yes, Misha and Eugenie knew. They knew Meghan, and I think, as do the two people I spoke to, that they knew about the meeting before it even happened, because there had been attempts at a formal introduction before, whether Harry remembers it or not. I had been told there was an attempt in Istanbul, but that it failed because Harry was not interested or otherwise engaged. But what you have to understand is that between Misha, Violet, and Eugenie, Misha was the only one who knew Meghan socially. Violet actually just worked with Meghan as PR for Ralph Lauren, and although it is said they became friends, my definition of a friend is not someone you never see again or talk to at the conclusion of your assignment. Meghan's assignment not only being a photo shoot, but to catch a rich husband. As for Eugenie, except for the people they had in common, which included Marcus Anderson, whom Eugenie knew longer than Marcus had known Meghan, Eugenie and Meghan did not hang out before Meghan met Harry. But also remember that once they did meet and started dating, Eugenie and Jack were what Harry and Meghan had in common. And obviously, Eugenie was a valuable asset for Meghan because she could give her the lay of the land, so to speak. However, I'm told that Eugenie, more so than her sister, is streetwise and a no-nonsense rebel, whereas Beatrice is a lot softer. So Eugenie did realize that there was a likelihood that Meghan would try and use her, whether to gain information or introductions. I'm also told that once again, after the wedding, there was not much of a friendship between Harry, Meghan, Eugenie, and Jack. Not the way we would think of a friendship between two couples. There were no foursomes, no movie nights or picnics together as two couples who are friends, because then already, right from the beginning, Meghan introduced her supposed friends and steered Harry away from his friends and family, Eugenie and Jack included. The next thing we need to remember, according to one of these people, and I am actually vouching for this, it is that Eugenie had a life of her own then and now. Eugenie had a job. She has her own friends and family, and at the time she had a wedding to plan. So, in Eugenie's own words, allegedly, she did not know how bad things had gotten for Harry and Meghan, or why, or any of the dynamic of what was really going on. Harry and Meghan did not take her into their confidence and tell her that they were planning on leaving for the United States. Things between Eugenie and Jack, Harry and Meghan, thus remained friendly and drama-free. Harry and Eugenie had always been close, or at least closer as they got older, because they were the naughtier, the louder, the rebels, as opposed to their quieter siblings. They were the rebels and shared some other character traits, such as a little bit of envy and depression. So, what reason was there for Harry and Eugenie not to remain friends once Harry and Meghan settled in California? Come on, guys, dig deep into your own family dynamics. Did you turn your back on someone in your family not because you had an issue with them, but because someone else did? I had a younger uncle who was the black sheep of the family and who was always blamed for everything. But I personally never had an issue with him. So as I got older, I got to know him and found him to be intelligent, artistic, and with a good, kind heart. So I decided that I had no reason to shun him, and we stayed friendly until he died at a relatively young age. I think, from what I hear, that it was basically the same thing with Harry and Eugenie. Harry didn't do anything to hurt or harm Eugenie. But now, the main issue, and don't worry, I am armored against the onslaught. I'm told that Eugenie is both angered and saddened by the fact that she is being branded a traitor and a mole for the Sussexes. I'm told that she considers it the most ridiculous accusation, and the only reason why she's not throwing her toys out of the cot about it is because she tells herself that these accusations are coming from the ignorant. And again, I'm quoting. And the person who took the time to chat to me agrees. And after I considered the information, I have no choice but to say that their point of view makes absolute sense. Eugenie is not a working royal. She does not have open and random access to offices in Buckingham Palace or Kensington Palace or any other palace. She does not have access or affiliations to staff, household or otherwise, at any of the palaces. One, because she's not a working royal, and two, because she doesn't even live in the grounds of any of the palaces. Eugenie is not consulted or informed of anything any of the other royals are involved with. She's not party to or aware of what's going on in their diaries ahead of any of their events, not informed of any of their plans, nothing, unless or until she is invited to an event. So her question is, how is she supposed to be a mole for Harry and Meghan? Neither King Charles nor William or their wives are going to share any of their plans or secrets, personal or concerning the monarchy, with her. Also consider the fact that neither her father nor her mother has that kind of access to the palace anymore. Prince Andrew does not even have his apartment or office at Buckingham Palace anymore. So it's not like he could share stories or information with Eugenie anymore. So how, pray tell, is Eugenie supposed to be a traitor or a mole if she knows nothing? She, indeed, would like to know. I particularly asked this person about Eugenie's relationship with the other royals, particularly Uncle Charles and William. Now, like this person said, it's not like Eugenie hangs around social events talking about her uncle and cousins. Of course not. She doesn't. And as far as this person knows, she never has. And nobody, goes up to her and asks her about her cousins and uncle either. But it is known that Eugenie has a measure of anger and bitterness towards her uncle, allegedly, because he did not support her father more and was actually, again, allegedly, in her opinion, part of the lynch mob and had hurt her father deeply in the process. We did, this lady and I, talk about it a little more, but I'm not going to go into it right now, not in this video. Anyway, according to this person, it was Prince Andrew himself who told Eugenie to let it go, and wisely so, because things sorted itself out very quickly after another family member intervened and put a stop to the king's actions against his brother. As for William, he did feel a little smited by the fact that Eugenie continued her friendship with Harry and Meghan after they left. Eugenie and Catherine also never had anything in common. Eugenie is not the sporty type. Beatrice is a far better sportswoman than Eugenie. Beatrice took part in marathons, went mountain climbing, etc. Beatrice, like Catherine, are the quieter, always friendly and smiling type, at least in public. Whereas Eugenie, like her other cousin, can wear her heart on her sleeve sometimes. But asked about ill feelings between them, this person said not that she knows of, or have seen, or even sensed. They are just very different people. She says that even in her circles there would talk of a little ill feeling between the York girls and Catherine early on, but it appears they have outgrown it. And judging by interactions observed at garden parties, etc., it actually looks as if Catherine and Beatrice get along very well, and no awkwardness can be observed between William, Catherine, and Eugenie either. Of course, no one, including the person I had this interaction with, know what is said behind the scenes, but she feels that the accusations lobbied against Eugenie is unfounded and unfair. She feels, and I agree, that the story of Eugenie being a traitor to the family and a mole for Harry and Meghan is something started on social media with no basis in fact. And considering everything I was told by these two people, I have no other recourse but to agree. And agree I will have to, unless or until I can bring you proof and facts and even more evidence and receipts to prove otherwise. Until then, I agree with Richard Eden. It is time for younger blood in the royal family, not because I think Charles and Camilla did a bad job in Kenya or any other stupid thing some people may think I think, but because it needs younger people to ensure its continuity. Okay, guys, so that was a mouthful, but that is it from me. Go think about what I said, particularly the question of how Eugenie can possibly be a traitor or a mole if she has no access to personal information or any of the workings of the monarchy. Okay, you guys can come up with something, please let me know. I'm very open-minded about this, but I thought I will just share this information because I have indeed promised to always be fair. Okay, guys, and now I'm really leaving. Please take good care of yourselves until we meet again on the next one. Bye.